All right, we'll see if this is
Welcome
going
to
to
this
work
quick Blender
here.
tutorial.
All right, let's see how we are sounding. This is
Welcome
going
to
to
this
work
quick Blender
here.
tutorial.
Okay. Mic testing 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see how we are sounding. This is
Welcome
going
to
to
this
work
quick Blender
here.
tutorial.
Okay. Mic testing 1, 2. All right, let's see how we are sounding. This is going to work here. Cool. So let me go ahead and get some. Man, I would love to go ahead and get a little bit of music in here, but I feel like I would get striked down, so I'm not going to, which is fine. Not entirely sure if my chat comes into this application. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. What's up, Combat Vault? Long time no see. How's it going? Yeah, so this stream I'm just going to be focused on trying to become a little bit of a developer here. I've been messing around with development for quite a little while. Never really jumped into it, but trying to learn JavaScript a little bit more. I've been doing it for about a month and a half, so I'm not completely new. Just kind of want to challenge myself, come up with some small projects. But how have you been? Gosh, throwback. I know I haven't streamed or done anything on this channel in quite a little while. I've been doing some wild stuff. I mean, I can't even imagine when my last video was on this particular channel. It has to have been a while, but it's fun to be back. I always just like streaming anything and everything that I'm doing. I don't know why. It's just who I am. What can I say? What can I say? But nice of you stopping by. Really, what I'm working on today is kind of attempting to create a little bit of like a study guide for myself, both using ChatGPT. So I have this little Code Mentor GPT that I created that's supposed to be more specific towards JavaScript. And really, what I'm doing is having it go over some of the main concepts that I guess you should know as like a beginner or junior developer. So I have it set to give me a definition, the components of it, simple explanation that's supposed to be more like a story, right? So like, pretend you're at like a crossroads and there's a signpost. All right, that's an if else statement. And I don't know if you're a developer or not or what have you, but it'll give me a little quiz just to make sure I'm understanding the information from above, and then a little bit of a project. So I'm not doing the projects yet. I can do a project. Maybe I'll do a little project at in about like maybe 30, 45 minutes from now, just to start trying to learn some of the stuff and actually put it into action. But yeah, doing good. Yeah. So are you still playing RS or no? Can I actually go and see? It is kind of quiet, but I think that's okay. I don't think we need any sound. It's all right. All right. So let me see where I'm at here. Just going to be talking through it. So I just kind of got through what a higher order function is. I didn't actually read through the example though, but I know that it is like functions as arguments, functions as return values, and callbacks. So imagine a factory, the higher order function that makes robots, other functions. This factory can modify these robots to do specific tasks. So this factory can modify the robots. So this is passing functions as arguments, or create a new type of robot based on design. So you can modify the robots or create brand new robots. And by creating a brand new robot, you are returning a function. By modifying, you're passing functions as arguments. Yeah, I'm currently not playing it too much. I did play right before Leagues. So I'm trying to do a little bit of both, to be honest. Also, is my like video coming through clear? I can't tell if it's just I think it's fine. Wonder why it only streams in 1080. Is that how it works on Twitch? I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, I'm trying to work. It's definitely a career change, ideally. So I've just been in sales and stuff like that for so long, and then there was a period where I kind of disappeared. And what I was doing in that period of time was I was running a project called Immersus. And I don't know if you maybe stumbled upon, because I might have accidentally or had uploaded some videos about it on this channel, just because I knew that there were some subscribers on it. But it was like a Web3. It was supposed to sort of be like an MMORPG, sort of like RuneScape, but every item was an NFT, and it was like crypto related, and it did good, but then it kind of crashed pretty hard. So I have kind of just noticed that I did that for about like 2 years, 2.5 years. And I was really enjoying being around like that. I liked working with and developing and creating something. And yes, this isn't necessarily game development anymore, but I definitely feel more interested in being able to create applications. That's always what I'm trying to do, is kind of create something or make something or do something, whether it's been like board games in the past or, video games or whatever it is. I'm always trying to make something. And I feel like if I'm able to develop in some way, shape, or form, I'll be able to like take the ideas that are always kind of popping up in my head and actually start, messing around and creating some of them. So I figured, what better way than, starting to code. Last thing, yeah, I was doing the drop shipping. I mean, that was pretty cool. I mean, I don't regret doing it. It's not like I lost a ton of money doing it at the end of the day, because, I sold the inventory out. And then, as soon as like the way that Amazon works with their FBA stuff is like as your inventory is there longer, it starts to charge you more and more. So like at some point, it just didn't even make sense for me to have the product that I was selling in there anymore. So I had them ship it back to me, and I kind of closed down that as well. But again, I'm going to keep doing things. I don't care. I'm going to just keep doing things. Yeah. Legendary. I mean, absurd. Could you imagine? It flooded on the third. I mean, that was a while now. I don't even know how long that's been. That's been like, gosh, when was that? Was that Hurricane Irma, or what was that? Was it Irma? No, Irma was recent. What would that have been? I can't even remember the hurricane. I'm going to look that up. Gosh, what was that hurricane? Hurricane. What year would it have been? 2018, maybe? Nah, I don't know. I don't know why I can't remember what it was, but it was wild. The evolution of Dan. I mean, you want to see another little thing that I've been doing lately? Well, I do like options trading, and I kind of got into the whole Wall Street bet stuff like back in 2000 and like what, not 19 maybe. So like I had a ton of GameStop stock at like $15 and then it went up to like 300 each. So since then, I've kind of always dabbled with stocks since then. So I've been doing that. And then recently, I don't know if you've been following this on Reddit, but I've kind of gotten into like Poke investing, which is kind of goofy. So it's just like the idea of like buying Pokemon things and holding on to them. So I've started a little bit of a collection lately. It's right behind me, but I do have some big boys. I got like a case of like 151 Pokemon, which is like I don't know if you know what it is, but yeah. So I've been buying that and holding it. So it's like 4 UPCs. I don't know. You might not even know what it is. So me saying this kind of stuff is kind of useless. But then I got like a whole bunch of other things. I got like some Japanese sets that I'm holding on to, and things like that. I was gonna do like, I don't know if you've seen these guys on, I don't know, I guess it's called whatnot, but they do it on Twitch too and other places. But they'll like do the card breaks. I was gonna try and get into card breaking just because I like streaming and doing stuff like that, but I never got into it. But I have cards if I wanted to card break. Let me show you. I was making a website for it too. So it was going to be, so the way that it was going to work, and it's not going to work actually. Got to pull up the stuff and start running it here. So I was going to make my own little custom website to allow, come on. Do I need anything else? Yes, I do. I need to run this, but I don't need to run this. I need to run this. So we want to run Poke Breaks. Get this server started. All right. Now that's not the one that we want. We want the real thing. Localhost. All right, so here we go. So like this is the stuff that I've been coding on. This is like probably my biggest project that I've done by myself. Now this was heavily, helped on by ChatGPT, but it's got a whole little like login system, which I'm pretty proud of. You can kind of sign in, and I think that's pretty sick. Oops. There you go. You can add products in to a cart. So like you can click on it and buy a particular pack and then check out, and it'll actually take you to Stripe, which is pretty sick. And you can like be like, put a fake card in, because this is only like a test. This isn't like a real thing, but it will process as if it's like a real thing. So it's actually got the Stripe stuff set up in it. So it's cool to be able to have an application that can kind of take payment. This looked totally different. This had like rows of Pokeballs, and the image had rows of this is like the last thing I worked on before I stopped, but it had rows of Pokeballs here, and you could click on it by the seat at the break. So let's say it was a group break and multiple people were like jumping in. So let's say there's like multiple products in it, and we were just gonna rip and ship out the stuff to people. You could buy a seat, but this kind of broke. And then it had like a little back end admin panel too, which I thought was pretty sick. So you can kind of come in here and you can add, full group breaks. You can edit them, and then it would show the queue once they're done. You can add in packs. I think I messed up the CSS here, but you can add in packs. But that was like the most advanced project that I've been able to put out so far. I have the definition. Yeah, except the income part. Oh, another thing that I actually jumped into, which is so goofy, is like freelance marketing too. So I do digital marketing. I have 2 clients that I do digital marketing for. Yeah, this was not necessarily for selling my own cards, but hold on, let me show you. One more second. All right. So let's do this as just like a little just not real but serious, not real like thing, but just as a goofy thing to do. All right. This is gonna suck because this camera sucks. But so basically, what you would be able to do is, let's say you wanted to, and I'm going to add another webcam in here, actually. 1 second. It's not what I wanted, but we could fix that. Two of me. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Is everything working there? Doesn't seem to be, does it? What happened to me? Where'd I go? Oh, I think I know what's happening. I accidentally... sorry, this is taking a little bit longer than I expected, but I need to add a whole different camera. I just accidentally added the same camera. You might hear construction in the background too, so ignore that. Perfect. All right. So, not the best, but let's get it down here. All right. So, let's say you came on the site, right? And you wanted to buy a Pokemon break or something like that, right? So you would essentially come over here, you would buy the pack, or you could buy into a break. And I would then have the cards in a prepackaged thing for you. So this actually has 6 boosters, so this would only be for like 1 booster. But I'm not going to open up that. I'm going to hold on to that. But I will open up one thing just to show it. Let's see. Can I make this a little bit better? Can I drag this? All right, no. So it's not. It's so much better, I feel like, with like a phone, because the resolution kind of matches the pack. But then basically what we would do is we would open up your packs on stream. Struggling. This one's a tough one to open because there's not many cards in it. This one only comes with 3 Pokemon cards in it. So much for development, right? But now you understand why I'm in so many different things, right? Come on, open up. And this is why you should not bite your fingernails like me as well. Whatever. Let's get it open. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. There we go. All right. Well, so much for ASMR. So, you would be able to open up the cards. Obviously, you wouldn't want to have all this light behind you. Probably look a little bit better if I didn't. So I think the rare card's in the middle. So let's see what we got as our rare card. Ooh, a Mimikyu. Look at that. Hollow. Got terrible lighting for you guys. Apologize. But Mimikyu. And a Drifblim. Cool. So this was just like a little fun Halloween pack. But we basically open these up, hope that you get a rare card, and then package them up, sleeve them up, and ship them out to you. But it was going to be something I was going to do, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be very hard to get an audience to actually do that for. So I figured I would not do it instead and just continue development. Just because development, I feel like in the long term is going to work out. Where I'm not entirely sure it's going to work out if I try and do card breaks. Rather just buy the stuff, hold on to it, and then if it goes up in value, resell it later. Just because it performs pretty well, from what I can tell. But there you go. That's my card break site. So I have it up. I'm not going to be using it, but it's a good example of some of the projects that I've worked on. So the current one that I'm working on right now, like I said, I'm making a tutorial website. Don't actually know how you run this one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you could just run it with live server. So really what it is it's only local right now, but I'm currently working on level 2, so I'm trying to do more complicated things because I have a pretty good understanding of like the basics, and I think that's why I was able to even make that first website to begin with. It's just, I have a good enough understanding with looking at code, understanding it, reading it, but like I don't necessarily, like I can't write it 100% yet. Like I can do a simple application. If you were to ask me to make like a simple application, I could probably do it, but it would be, in my mind, I think it would be pretty difficult. So let's move on to the learning section of this stream. Now that we kind of caught up a little bit, I want to kind of get some stuff done here. So if else. So we have, well, let me just finish up the higher order function reading here because that's where I left off. So functions as arguments. Higher order functions can accept other functions as parameters. So parameter is going to be function, and then the function would be inside of the actual like parentheses. So for example, in this example, it would be the times action, I believe. No, times is actually a variable. Looks like it must be some type of array or something. I mean, and it must be a number though, because it's less than, I is less than to it, and you're iterating over it. So this is just more of an example. So a simple higher order function that accepts a function as an argument. So the function is action. Okay, here's the function. So function and then I. So I don't know necessarily what this does, but definitely it's got a loop in here, for loop. It's iterating over I until times is reached, until it's greater than or equal to times, and then this function is being passed. So whatever the action is. Using a higher order function. Let's see here. All right, Combat Volt. Peace. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. You might see me streaming more, so if you want to come in and just say hi, feel free to stop in and check in on the progress. So using the higher order function, you're going to repeat an action. So you got 3 console log. Repeat action. Oh, I see. Okay. So this is the function. So this is where we're actually using the function that we've created. We're inputting 3 times. We're console logging it because we've added a function into this repeat action. So this is the actual function that we've added into the higher order function, which is this whole thing. So it's going to log 1, 2, or 0, 1, 2 to the console. Another example of returning a function. So we've created a function greater than with a parameter n. And this is going to return m is equal to m, or I don't really know what that is. So what is equal signs greater? it's not greater or equal to. It's because I'm pretty sure I think M just is set to M is greater than N. Not sure. Let greater than 10 equal greater than 10. I'll have to look at that one a little bit more. That one seems pretty difficult to comprehend. I feel like this is really what it's more likely to be used in, but I don't understand this one. I understand this one. This one's fine. But returning a function, unless this in itself is the function that's being returned. So let me see what this actually is. And then I'll just, that way I can understand what that means. It's saying it's an operator, but that doesn't seem right to me. See, like, nah. It's close to that, but it's not that. What would this be like? So it's does this function using arrow functions? If not, what's M? Okay, so is this function using? Okay, this is funny because this is totally from ChatGPT because it's like the exact same example, I think. That is a function, which is in normal function syntax, which in normal function syntax would look like this. I wonder how I can put this in here. Maybe I'll just put like another list item and just say like example so essentially this whole statement here is actually a function in and of itself. So this is technically function M, function with the parameter M. If M is greater than N, return true, else return false. Wow. That's really interesting. Not sure how. I mean, that's like if you're I feel like if you could do that, then you have a really good understanding of the code, because that's a killer. That's killer. I'm gonna comment out all these lines here and just well, no, not that line. That's actually good. But kind of wild, huh? I have to take my little breaks to check the portfolio out. Not doing too bad today. I'm kicking myself a little bit. I had really good call options with Unity. When I bought them when it was $29, and now it's $38. They would be worth like $24,000 if I just held. Paper hands, huh? Paper hands. That's what happens. All right, so let's go to page 2 and just see how this is actually notating out a little bit for me. Are my notes making sense here? Yeah. All right, so let's move on to, I'm going to call them conditional statements. I don't know if that's what they're actually called, but let me see. What does W3 call them? Is it comparisons? Is that what they call them? Yeah, conditional statements. So let's go ahead and move this from statements to conditional statements. And we'll do this, conditional statements. And what exactly are conditional statements? So if else in JavaScript is a fundamental control structure for decision making in your code. It allows you to execute different code blocks based off of certain conditions. This structure helps in guiding the flow of execution depending on whether the specified condition is true or false. Okay, I like that. It's good enough. It's a good. Man, I wish I could remember the hotkey to break these lines down a little bit easier. I feel like it was like Alt A or Alt something. I just don't want to take the time to look back through it. Unfortunately, right now it's not that important. I feel like it'll just slow me down. So the structure. Let's go ahead and add the first thing. So the structure of an if statement. It evaluates a condition enclosed in parentheses. If the condition is true, the code block inside of the if statement is executed. Perfect, easy enough. Then we have something called the else statement. It's funny because this is like in here already. So an else statement, optional. It's executed if the condition in the if statement is false, right? Easy enough. It's kind of exact. I could probably use the same example that's just below here to do that if I really wanted to. And then we have an if else statement, which is optional and can be used multiple times. It provides additional conditions to check if the initial if condition is false. So it would have another parentheses and be checking another if statement essentially. So simple explanation. Think of if else like Crossroads, where you choose a path based on a signpost. If the sign says left, you are indeed supposed to go left. If, then take the left path. If not, else you take the other path. Easy enough. Let's go ahead and add that here as our little example for our site. I just want this to be a cheat sheet that I can come back to every single time I need to and just read it for just like an update and a reminder. So different code, that's fine. I'm going to leave this code just because I think this is a little bit more advanced, and that's kind of what I want. So let's leave that one. It's funny, but whatever. So what will happen if you put a conditional that always evaluates to true in the if statement? If it always evaluates to true, then I guess it would always activate the code inside of the block. I hope it doesn't cause a runtime error, but I would assume, or bug, because it times out. My guess is that if the condition always evaluates to be true, again, my assumption is it runs the block of code inside, always, technically. Can you have an else if without an else at the end? What does it imply? So I don't know that you necessarily need to have an else at the end, because like an if statement, I don't think an if statement requires an else, does it? Yeah, the else is simply to specify what to do if the code is incorrect or false, sorry. Use the else if statement to specify a new condition if the first condition is false. Yeah, but it doesn't say anything about requiring the else. Good question. I guess I can come back through here and see in the future. Is it possible to nest if-else statements? Provide a brief example. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can do an if-else statement. I mean, you can have multiple ifs. So you can have if-else, and then it's true. Then have another, if it's true inside that block, have another if-else statement on another, parameter or condition that needs to be checked, and then different outcomes to happen based off of that. So yeah, definitely. And then a project suggestion: create a simple web-based quiz where each question leads to a different set of questions based on the user's answer using if-else statements. This project will allow you to see if else can control the flow of your program based on user input. Yeah, do we want to do a little example of that? I think we could do something cooler here, right? So let's try and do something a little bit more advanced, just because we can, right? So let's create a div class question, right? And then inside of there, let's create a button. This is gonna be a project. So I like this idea. So maybe the way that we can do this is when I reach the point where there's a project idea, I do that in this code as a test. So, and I'm going to try and make it fit right into here as well. So the idea is to create Yeah, let's create a form, I guess. Yeah, let's make it a form. Okay. And we're going to do a little start button to start, and then we will have a h5 tag with an ID of prompt, and then let's do two more let's do a button again, and let's give it a button ID of answer 1 and button ID answer 2. Does this make sense to do? Button ID, and let's give this an ID of start button and a on click function of text adventure start. All right. So I'm gonna create another script for this. Yeah, another script for this. We'll call it text adventure script. So we'll come in here, new file, text adventure script. Let's just call it text adventure, actually. Gosh, something's going on outside. I apologize, guys. Text adventure. All right, so when the button clicks in text adventure, we're going to create a function called text adventure start. No, we're not going to do that. Well, we're going to do that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. So when text adventure starts, we're going to want to print out some code somewhere. So we're going to want to write code in a particular area. So right now, I think I know how to do console, right? So that's how you console, that's how you alert. But how do you write directly into code? That's the part that I don't know. So let me go back and look at a particular project and see if I can figure out how that works. Okay. So I like something like this. So I'm going to copy and paste this because as much as I want to rewrite, I'm not going to rewrite. I'm just going to fix it as I go. So, and we're just going to take bits and pieces of it. So, the text adventure. All right, this is the text adventure. So we need to create variables for everything. So we will do start button And the start button is going to be the document dot document dot get element by ID. And what did I name mine? I named mine start button. Okay, good. Let's remove this. Maybe we don't even need that. That would be pretty cool, right? So let's try and get a little bit more advanced. So let's just try and do it with event listeners purely. I'm gonna close out of all this extra stuff here because we don't need all of this. We just need this kind of stuff here. All right, so text adventure. And we do know that it is the start button that we're looking for. Boom. So we have that element. We also need to grab the prompt. Okay, and we're going to do document.get element by ID, and I'm pretty sure I called this just prompt, so let me just double check the prompt, yeah. And then we're going to get the option 1, which would be document dot get element by ID something, and I'll come back and see if I can improve how this is done, because you know I'm basically forcing in two buttons every single time, which who knows if that's right. So answer 1, answer 2. Okay, I kind of like option better because that's kind of what it is. So rather than answer, I'll do option. I would have had a typo anyways. That could have caused me an error. So good thing I caught that. So option 1, option 2. And we'll do option 1 and option 2. And there's another typo of a capital O. Okay. So what have we done here? So when text adventure happens, we do this, right? So maybe let's see. All right, so let's do if start button is true. Start button, add event listener, click. So so we're adding an event listener click to start button, and then we're going to run a function, and that function is going to be the idea of displaying the prompt and options. Right, so prompt dot style dot display equals block. And then I think we want to do that for option 1 dot style dot display equals block, option to style display equals block. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. How's the market ending on the day? Am I going to be okay? Or I'm going to have to cry myself to sleep? It's looking okay. Hard to complain. It's not 24,000, is it? But it's also not zero. But it does make me cry thinking about the fact that we missed out on it. But did we miss out? We doubled our money. You only have to double your money a couple times. All right. Don't get too upset about it. All right. So, yeah. So let's do this. So I'm going to actually... I don't know that that's exactly what I need to do, or if I need to add a style. Right? I think I need to add a style. I don't think this is working by itself, but let me see. And this is pretty advanced too, so I'm kind of happy that this is happening here. Question 1. And then, yeah, see, it's a form. I mean, I guess it could be a form, right? I mean, what's the harm in it being a form? I don't think much, so fuck it. Let's keep it a form. And I'm gonna change this to text. And all right. So what does it look like right now? Can you hide the? Why are these not hot? So I think it's got to be style then, right? So it's got to be style equals display or is it style.display like this? Hidden. No. It's got to be style. Okay, this is it. That's it. And I need to do that for this, this, and this. And then ideally none of that shows. It doesn't seem right. My is something that's display hidden. Still showing. Oh, maybe it's not hidden. Maybe it's none. Now that I think about it. So display none. Boom. Okay. Oh, I feel good about it. Oh, yeah. All right. So now if I click. I don't like how that's handling that. So why, when I click the start button, is it taking me up to the, it's like restarting the whole page. So we have a button with the ID start, right? And what's supposed to do is maybe I also need to set the start button dot style dot display to none. Maybe. Maybe that's what I do. Let me just see what's going on outside. It is a little annoying being constantly on what feels like a construction site. Let's maybe look more at the group breaks thing just to kind of get some more information. Where is group breaks in here as well? Is there anything else? Yeah, okay. We're going to play around with this one. Just because this is probably a little bit closer to what we need. And the reason that we need this is we need to be adding something when the form starts. So start button, add an event listener. And we'll do prevent default probably. And then we'll do text adventure start. And I'm going to remove all of this. All right, now let's see if this does something for us. So now we have our start button. It prevents the default, but it doesn't prevent the default. So we need to be changing option 1 and option 2 to display. But that's not doing anything for us necessarily. I don't even know what this is returning, in all honesty. I think that's the biggest issue, right? Is technically we've gotten these options, so we've so this is an event listener. So once the DOM has loaded, we're initializing event listeners. So these are all of our event listeners in here. And the first event listener that we're doing is we're getting this start button, and we're adding a listen to it. So let's see if that's even happening. So let's see if this button shows up as a submit button now. Which it doesn't seem like it is. Definitely doesn't seem like it is. So if this button is not becoming a submit button, what does that mean? Control ID 1. This is one thing that I keep seeing, which I don't understand. What if I just made this not a form? What would happen? Maybe it can't have that. Maybe it can only have a click. This is not a form anymore. Start button. I mean, it should be finding start button, right? I mean, JS button click. 17. Interesting. I don't necessarily understand why that one's interfering with this, though. So let me just refresh. Yeah, that's... That's an issue for a different page. I'm going to just take this out and see if we're getting the same error here. Everything still works here. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Okay. Wonder why it requires 2 clicks, though. So I think the reason that it's requiring 2 clicks is something about this. What happens if I do this? Man, I'm not understanding the double click here. I have to be missing something here. So we're double clicking for what reason? What's this look like inside of here? Start button. Maybe the first start button is redundant. No, because how else? Yeah, it doesn't know. So this is the start button. It's just happening after the second click. So it's happening after the second click. For what reason? For what reason? What reason? What reason? Huh. So this, I don't necessarily understand what this is doing. This seems to be doing something very similar to this. So maybe this is what I need to do. I think that feels a little bit better. Okay. So now we have the start button. And if I click on it, no. But if I double click it, yes. So the reason for that would be let's remove this. Let's just say that it's a function. So maybe the prevent default is interfering somehow. So like the first time I click it. No, gosh, what could it be? Why would it require 2 clicks? You think it's because of this? It's the first click is it's by default false or something? Yeah, so we're not even able to make it true. So that's I think this is where it's at. Okay, so if yeah, okay. So we've at least identified where the errors are. So what are we doing here? When we start the text adventure, right? We're starting. See, but I don't know that we actually need to do this anymore, right? Because we actually already have that existing, right? In my mind now, the way that this is working is that this was essentially doing the same thing. So let's see if we're getting closer. Boom. Okay. So we got that figured out. So now we can start our little text adventure, which is cool. I'm going to give it a... I'm going to give this some color, though, because it's kind of hard to see. God, this feels good to make some progress, though, without needing to use a resource. That's got to be a sign that you're making some progress, right? So, yeah, let's just make a quick comment and just say that this is for the level 2. And this is for prompt. And we're just going to do a color, and we're going to make it this color. And we'll make the font size 20 pixels, just so it's readable. All right, so when we click start, that did not do what I wanted it to do. It's an ID of prompt. The style sheet is probably not imported. No, style sheet's imported. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's, instead of that, let's just make it a paragraph. I mean, I don't think that has any impact on this at all, but whatever. Question 1. Oh, we're not watching SAS. That's it. That's the issue. Dumb. Question 1. All right. So now that we've started the adventure, now we can actually... we want to display the stuff properly. So we don't want to necessarily... I mean, we do want to display, but we want to display with proper we want the right questions and answers is what we want. I don't know how to explain that. So they're being displayed. I mean, it's easiest if I just have the correct options initially, right? Like walking down a path, come to a crossroads. Would you go left or right? And then that's gonna, all right. So that's a venture left. I don't know if this is effective to do, but let's do a venture right. This is my thinking on it, but again, you know. Okay. Let's do just option 1 and option 2. Let's go this route with it. This could get interesting. So let's create button, and then let's do a function for new prompt. Interesting. Okay, so what can we do here? So let's comment our goals again in here, because so goals, make a simple text adventure focused on if else statements. So our goal is to make a text adventure that's using if else statements, right? So we have one, but that's not necessarily enough for us. We want to have more than one, obviously. So what if we need to create an array for sure, right? I don't necessarily know how to create an array, but we definitely need an array. So I'm going to pull up something to potentially help myself with the array creating. Probably be better with So let's do const dot prompt list. All right. And prompt dot is an array of prompts. All right, so let's try and get even more advanced. Let's get this first prompt to happen from here. So let's see if that does what I want it to do. It does. It does, it does, it does. But is that effective? So the way that I see this is we can do so new prompt will just take the prompt list and the prompt list, which is a list of arrays, let's see here. So what does a new prompt do? You decide to head left and begin walking down the path. About a mile down, a thief jumps out of the bushes. What do you do? You decide to head right and begin walking down the path. You about a mile down, the path opens up to a waterfall. What do you do? See, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I should have done steps or something like that, because right. So now it's like Okay, let me just think this through a little bit more. See, I definitely should have just done like stages. And I almost feel like I should just start stages right now. All right, so I think I have a good idea of what to do next, maybe. So because I have functions for each button, I don't know if I need functions for each button. I'm going to keep it because to me it kind of just makes sense to do. But, you know, I want prompt list. One. Hmm. Maybe let's declare something called prompt stage. Just don't define it necessarily right now. And just do prompt stage equals prompt list plus 1. And then if option 2 plus 2. So, yeah, see, I hate how this is shaping up. This. I don't think this is going to work at all. This would be wild if this works. Yeah, no. All right, so we have an error here on this document listener option 1. Yeah. But I don't know that that's definitely the issue. I'm going to just remove that for right now because it doesn't necessarily make sense. And then the way that I see this working, I just don't know how or why it works. Right? Like, that's the thing that I don't understand. And what I don't understand also is why option 1 becomes a function each time where start button doesn't. And maybe that's because start button option 1 press, option 1 click, maybe option 2 click. And now if I do option 1, is it okay? Let's do this. Let's go this route. I think it's okay to go this route. Function event, and then do that, and then we will essentially just do option 1 click, right? And then else else prompt equals and that's because this isn't global. So let's make it global. Let's not make it global. Let's require it. See, but that makes me feel like we are not doing it properly. All right. So what does the new prompt function do? So if prompt stage equals 0, yeah, so that's the thing here. So really all this should be doing is All right, so what we're doing here is we're listening to things. So let's see if this makes some sense in my mind right now. So we got the document, and we have listeners for the start button, the option button, and the option 2 button. Okay. Hmm. All right, I know I haven't talked too much lately. I'm just a little stuck as to how I want to go about it. I mean, I don't feel like I'm necessarily too far away from what I want to be doing. It's just, you know. This is so poor. I just feel like I could be doing this so much better. It's unbelievable. It's disgusting. It's so sad. I just don't know how to do it. But, I mean, that's what learning's all about here. It's so bad. Option 2 equals option Lewis 0. Yeah. Ugh. Alright, I'm gonna just go this route. I'm gonna just do prompt. And I'm gonna have this run. Right? And the way that this will run is by, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if this makes sense. So my logic here is we're going to remove the buttons on stage 4 and just print out the prompt. And I know that I probably just don't need to do this because there's only actually prompt 4. So I probably didn't need to add the this other one here. But does this make sense? So 0, 1, 2, 3. This is actually going to be 3. All right. So let's see if any of this works. I mean, there's a good shot that none of this works, but we'll see. So walking down left. So clicking left doesn't do anything. Good, good, good. So now we know that. So left doesn't do anything. Left doesn't do anything. Left doesn't do anything. Left doesn't do anything. What if we did new prompt? Let's see now. Left. We're close. We just need better logic. So I think the better logic would be what would be So what's some logic? I mean, we're very close now, which I'm feeling good about. We're very, very close. So let's see here. So we just need a way for it to know to be changing stages properly. Oh God, this is tough. This is tough. This is tough. This is tough. Um, Well, I think I've reached a point where I'm going to end the stream, guys. It sort of works. Let's show you what I have right now. So if I click it, I can go right or left. If I go right, it'll show me the first option, but it's just going through the whole thing each time. I definitely didn't set this up to be a good text adventure, if I'm saying that correctly. It's close. I just don't believe I structured it right, but I made something, and I made it all with very little reference to documentation at all, which I'm happy with, but I feel like I learned some stuff, but